Boats? Demanded the astonished Bill. Boats in Death Valley? Jack choked and said, Sure, boats. There used to be a lake in Death Valley. I hear the fishing was fine. You know about the lake, Thomason pointed his blue chin at Jack. Your geology would tell you about the lake. It was a long time ago. Millions of years, probably. The ancient people who built the city in the caverns under the mountain lived on their treasure houses long after the lake and the valley dried up. How long, we don't know, but the people we found in those caverns have been dead for thousands of years. Why, those mummies alone are worth millions of dollars. White, his eyes blazing, his body trembling, filled the little house with a vibrant voice on the edge of hysteria. Gold, he cried. Gold spears, gold shields, gold statues, jewelry, thick gold bands on their arms. I found them. I fell into the underground city. There was an enormous room, big as a cannon. 100 men were in it. Some were sitting around a polished table inlaid with gold and precious stones. Men stood around the walls of the room carrying shields and spears of solid gold. All the men, more than 100 of them, had on leather aprons, the finest kind of leather, soft and full of gold ornaments and jewels. They sat there and stood there with all their wealth around them. They are still there. They are dead, and all the gold and all the gems and jewels are all around them. All that gold and jewelry, billions. White's voice was ascending to a shriek when Thomason put a hand on his arm, and White fell silent, his eyes darting around to the faces of those who sat around the table. Thomason exclaimed quietly, These ancient people must have been having a meeting of their ruler's council chamber when they were killed very suddenly. We haven't examined them very closely because it was the treasure that interested us, but the people are all perfect mummies. Bill squinted at White and asked, Ain't it dark in the tunnel? Black dark, said White, who had his voice under control. His outburst had quieted him. When I first went into the council room, I had some candles. I fumbled around. I didn't discover everything all at once, like I've been telling you. I fell around over these men, and I was pretty near almost scared out of my head. But I got out of that, and everything was all right, and I could see everything after I lit the lights. Lights? There was lights? It was Bill asking. Oh, yes, said White. These old people had a natural gas they used for lighting and cooking. I found it by accident. I was bumping around in the dark. Everything was dark, hard and cold, and I kept thinking I was seeing people, and I was pretty scared. I stumbled over something on the floor, and I fell down. Before I got up, there was a little explosion, and gas flames all around the room lit up. What I fell over was a rock lever that turned on the gas, and my candle set the gas off. Then was when I saw all the men and the polished table and the big statue. I thought I must be dreaming. The statue was solid gold. Its face looked like the man sitting in the head of the table. Only, of course, the statue's face was much bigger than the man's, because the statue was all in perfect size, only bigger. That statue was solid gold, and it was 89 feet 6 inches tall. Did you measure it, said Jack, silkily, or just guess at it? I measured it. Now you'll all get an idea how big that one room, that council room, is. The statue only takes up a small part of it. Steadily and evenly, Jack asked, Did you weigh the statue? No, said White, you couldn't weigh it. Bill was puzzled. Would you mind telling me how you measured it? Asked Bill. With a sextant, said White. I also carry a sextant when I go out in the desert. Then if I get lost, I can use my sextant on the sun or the moon or the stars and find myself on the map. I took a sextant angle of the height of the statue and figured its height out later. A sextant, said Bill, frowning heavily. Jack said, It's part of a church, Bill. Never mind that. Tell us more about this place. It's very interesting. Okay, it sounds like this passage is going to be longer than I thought. This is my first time reading it. So I'm going to put this into yet another section. So keep listening to the next part.